So this isn't the sort of video I normally do. I am a film preservationist, but I have been in love with the guitar tones on Rush's 1984 album, Grace Under Pressure, for as long as I can remember, probably since I was 11 or 12 years old. And one of my hobbies has been trying to recreate this in amp modeling plugins without access to the amp that made it work, the Marshall Club & Country or Marshall 4140. Well, a little over a week ago, IK Multimedia, who make Amplitube and TONEX, out of nowhere dropped this pack of Alex Lifeson amp tone models for TONEX, including the Marshall Club & Country. There is no other digital model anywhere in any other software, and it doesn't really sound like any other Marshall amp, but the Marshall 4140 is only part of the Grace Under Pressure guitar sound, and there are a bunch of different parts that come together to form this unusual and very cool sounding dark guitar tone. Now, if you're like me, you bought this thing immediately and you opened up, say the Club & Country Drive preset in TONEX, and it didn't sound anything like Alex Lifeson on Grace Under Pressure, even if you're using a Hentor Sportscaster with the correct Bill and Becky Lawrence L500L pickup in the bridge position. That's because there was more to it, and I'm going to show you how to make it work. So first off, let me just solo the Club & Country Drive tone model, and I'll show you what I mean. And I still have my pre and post effects on, but basically, there's a big part of the sound there, but it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound complete, even with effects on, chorus and compression and delay and reverb. It still doesn't sound right. Exactly. There's something there, but it's not there. So Alex was known for using 4 of these Club & Country amps in the studio for Grace Under Pressure and also on the subsequent tour. He has talked about having 2 of the amps running overdriven, which is what I just let you hear, and 2 of them are running clean. That's part of the setup that he uses to blend tones for various songs. He's also talked in interviews about having a Rockman with a little bit of EQ on it, also blended in there. Those 3 sounds are blended in different ratios depending on the song and the part. I tried to put something like that together immediately upon getting the TONEX pack, and it still didn't sound exactly right. And a friend of mine actually figured it out, and I will put his channel in the video description. So I'm going to show you how to do this from scratch. I am in Logic Pro 11, so this is going to be a little different depending on what DAW you're in, but you should be able to do roughly the same thing that I'm doing here. So create a track in your DAW to record into. I've called this Me. The trick here now is to put Alex's effects rack in this channel, but none of the amps. And the trick then is to split the signal that's coming out of this track into 3 equal signals to feed the amps. On my Me channel, over here, I have created 3 aux buses, and each bus is set to pre-fader. And the reason for that is, if it's set to post-fader, you can't turn the fader on this channel down all the way. Let's put this up. So you can hear this overbearingly loud, dry guitar note when I do that. And you can kind of also hear it feeding the amps, but you don't want that absolutely dry, just guitar into audio interface sound. So you make them pre-fader, so you can turn this fader all the way down, and it still feeds the amp channels. In Logic, when you create an aux bus channel, it becomes yellow and only shows up in the mixer. To get them to appear as lanes in your main DAW window, there is an option that you can click on, right-click on here and choose Create Channel, I think it is. I've already done that, so I can't show you. But at that point, you can then close the mixer and you can work up in here for the time being. I have named my first aux channel 4140 Dirty, And in there, I have one instance of Amplitube running 2 amps in parallel, which is this 1 to 2 icon over here. And in each of these slots, I have loaded 2 different Club and Country Drive TONEX models. The first one is named Club and Country Drive, and the second one is called Club and Country Drive 02. Don't put any effects in these aux bus things. These are just for amps, just to keep it neat and make it make as much sense as possible, because I understand this is kind of convoluted to do in a DAW. In the second aux track, which I've called 4140 Clean, I am doing the same thing, but with the 2 TONEX models, Club and Country Clean and Club and Country Bright Clean. Again, they just sum out and there are no effects in there. The third aux bus I've labeled Rockman, and in Amplitube I am using the Joe Satriani Boston 100, which is the Rockman model in Amplitube, and I have it set like this. Echo on, chorus on, the drive mode is on edge, my input gain is 0, and the volume is set to max. And again, nothing else in here. I have messed with the EQs on the Club and Country TONEX models a little bit. For purposes of what I'm doing here, this is how I have the Club and Country Drive model set. And this is how I have the Club and Country Drive 02 model set. Similarly, in the Clean channel, I have the Club and Country Clean TONEX model set like this. And I have the Club and Country Bright Clean TONEX model set like this. These 3 aux buses, 4140 Dirty, 4140 Clean, and Rockman, they all target a 4th aux bus as their output. So you're not going to stereo out. I have them going to another aux channel that I've called Mix/Post. In Mix/Post, I have another instance of Amplitube. Now, Amplitube doesn't let you remove an amp and cab model, so I just left these at the default that they came up, the Brit 8000 and the 4x12 Brit 8000 cap, but I have them both turned off, as you can see right here. In this Mix/Post, all of the signals from the 4 Club and Countries and the Rockman are coming into here, and they are hitting post effects, which I will explain in a second. Back up here in the Me channel, the original one that sends to all of the amp auxes, I have an instance of Amplitube running here with my pre-effects. Here's what my pre-effects look like at this point. This is based on some of his interviews and also tailored to make it sound correct. I don't know that he had a compressor of any sort in the beginning, but it helps here to get the sound at the right level. So I have this red compressor stomp in here. The yellow overdrive is an MXR Distortion Plus, or it's modeled after an MXR Distortion Plus. Alex talked about in interviews using an MXR Distortion Plus for certain high gain things in front of the amp, including the heavy drop D riffs in between the wheels. So you can switch that on and off as needed with automation or through a floor pedal. The next thing is I have the Amplitube Digital Chorus rack module in the pre here as a stomp box. Alex was using loft choruses at this point, which were Bucket Brigade delay choruses, but the analog chorus in Amplitube doesn't sound right, and nobody makes a loft software model. I have found the digital chorus set like this to be close to what Alex is doing. I know in some interviews he said he had 2 choruses before the amps. At some point I will figure out how to do that. The rate is on mine approximately 0.3 hertz, and I don't have it tempo locked. My depth is all the way up to 100, and my mix is 50/50. I have experimented with having this set to mono and set to stereo, and to my ears, stereo sounds better, even though Alex's entire pre-amplifier effects rig was mono at this time. In here, I also have Amplitube's rack module pitch shifter. which I have set to a 7th. That's for the solo in red sector A. And so on. This pitch shifter was also used in After Image, set an octave higher, like this. Obviously a little lower in the mix than red sector A, but that was the pitch shifter. So you can also turn that on and off with automation. The important thing about Lifeson's sound on this record is that the inputs that I've described to you are all set up and ready to go and pretty much in the mix the whole time. The different feels that he gets from song to song and from section to section inside a song are largely based on how loud or soft the cleans and dirty amps are. The Rockman seems to be in there the whole time. And I didn't show you what the Rockman sounded like. Let me solo the Rockman. If you solo just the clean and dirty amps, they kind of sound right, but there's a like a rubbery mid-low that gurgles a little bit that is missing from the tone until you put the Rockman in, and then and again just soloing the Rockman. It's subtle, and in this example, it can probably be turned up a little bit, but it is definitely in there and pretty much sounds like that all the time. So what do I mean by changing the volume of the clean and dirty amps relative to one another? Let's look at After Image for a second.
I feel the way you would.
Okay, this section. Through trial and error, I found that in this section, you want less of the cleans when he's doing the chords, and you want more of the clean for more of that pick attack when he goes up here. So I've automated it in my DAW, and it sounds, when I play it, it sounds like this.
We ran by the water on the wet summer night. I see the wood red. I remember. I feel the way you would. I feel the way you would. I feel the way you would.
It's a little subtle at times, but it's part of how to dial this in correctly. Let's take a look at the solo section of Red Sector A. This may be a better example. You can see I have my volume automation up here in Logic. I have it set like this for most of Red Sector A, and then when the harmonic part comes in, this it doesn't sound right like that because I have the cleans too quiet and I have the dirties up. So I'm dropping the dirty amps from -3.1 to -6.4 dB. And again, these are just ballpark. There's no science behind this. Just keep adjusting it until it sounds correct. And then the cleans which during most of the song are at minus 11.2 dB, they come up to 1.9, plus 1.9. So they're boosted about 12 dB. This is a decision that the producer, Peter Hentor, would have been making in conversation with the band as well. But let's take a look at how it changes here. Like before, during most of the song, your tone is supposed to sound like this. Right? But when you get into the solo, that doesn't sound right. It needs to be way brighter. And on this album particularly, all four amps and the Rockman are always on, but in some sort of different ratio depending on the part. If I mute the dirty amps and the Rockman and do this little harmonic thing, it doesn't sound right. And so on. Why? It's too clean. The harmonics need to pop out over the dirty amps, but the dirty amps can't dominate it. And this is what it's supposed to sound like. It's supposed to have all that mud underneath it. It's sort of a very atmospheric sound, and if you just cut it down to just the cleans, it's not right. The rest of the stuff has to be in there, but the levels have to be pulled back a little bit. Similarly, you wouldn't go into the second section of that solo with the cleans boosted this much. Right there, there's not enough dirt. You have to go back to this other setting, this other mix ratio. So it's all about the ratio of the clean and dirty amp levels, and I haven't found a situation in which I had to boost or cut the Rockman yet. It's kind of just always there. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube about how to set your input gain on your interface and what to set the input gain on a plugin like Amplitube, and I'm not going to worry about any of that right now because apparently that science isn't settled. But what you want to do is level out your volumes wherever you do that so that you get a nice, clear, sort of hybrid clean, dirty sound from this setup when you have your volume knob on 5. So like, for example, let me mute the dirty amps and you can just hear the 4140 cleans and the Rockman. Let me also mute my mic temporarily so you can hear what the clean amps are doing. So the clean amps need to be sitting at a level where they're kind of just the transients of the picked notes are popping out over the distortion for most of Lifeson's rhythm sounds. And you want to target that sort of sound with your volume on 5 so that when you come up to a solo section, you can run it up to 10 and have a more compressed, more overdriven sound. So on and so forth. Alternatively, sometimes you can leave the volume on 5 and kick on that MXR Distortion Plus, like this.
Praise to the mother of all machines.
So it's all about ratios of these 3 amps on Grace Under Pressure. Now, as I said before, all of Alex's effects, including delay and echo, and anything that he put on the sound, as opposed to Peter Sanderson putting on the sound, was all mono, and it was all forward of the split to the amplifiers, as far as I know. And then if there was anything else added, it was added by Peter Henderson. Being in a DAW in 2024, it sort of blurs the lines between, you know, the songwriter, the performer, the recording engineer, the mixing engineer, the mastering engineer. So some of these things can come out and maybe be improved a little bit. And I'm going to show you what my post chain looks like. I am not using this Wampler Nirvana that's in my rack right now on the post channel. I was trying to do a little bit of post chorus to make it sound a little bit wider, and I think the jury's still out on that. The first thing I put in here is the Amplitube White 2A compressor, set pretty much to the defaults, 37.4 and 28.0, set to compress, not limit. As far as I can tell, there was a ton of compression on Alex's composite signal as it came into the mixing stage. And this sort of simulates that. It may seem like overkill, but once you start playing with it, and especially if you listen to some of the newer AI isolation tracks of Grace Under Pressure that are popping up on YouTube in the last couple of months, it's very, very compressed. We also don't have digital models of the delay and reverb that Alex was using at this time. And this is more of a personal preference, although I have heard him use a delay like this on Grace Under Pressure and Power Windows in some places. But I like the Amplitube X-Time pedal for this, set to the pattern mode, set to pattern 2, and it gives you this sort of thing. And I personally like that. So that's more of a personal choice at this point. And I think there's so much swirling and delay and reverb on this record anyway that it kind of doesn't matter as long as it sounds sort of correct. Also in here after that, I have the Amplitube X Space pedal set to Hall A, and I have the controls set like this. I basically have a 50-50 mix that is not necessarily correct for all the songs on the record, but for instance, between the wheels, there's quite a bit of reverb, especially on those heavy parts. But that's my post rig right now, and between that and the effects in the beginning and the amps, that's pretty much it. And once you get all those elements in there, it begins to sound like Alex Lifeson from Grace Under Pressure. Special thanks to my buddy Head First Humanity, who figured out that you needed all 4 of the different amp models to make it sound right. Go over to his channel and follow him as well. And if you'd like to know more about what I do and how you can get involved to support film preservation, you can watch this video right here and learn more about what I do and how to help. Thanks for watching.